put your hands together and welcome to the stage, the London Spitfire. This is a ferocious squad. Now it's time to introduce the most successful players in Overwatch history, Seoul Dynasty.
처음으로 리그 시작하고 처음으로 서울 다이너스티랑 붙는데 많이 떨리고 준비를 많이 해야 될 것 같아요.
There are 3 giants in this league, New York, Seoul, and London.
Oh! Big band is ringing out as London make a strong statement early.
아무래도 지금 가장 리그에서 잘한다고 생각하는 팀이기 때문에
Seoul Dynasty might just be the best Overwatch team. They don't need any caveats.
약점이라고는 강팀이라 찾기가 좀 힘든데
It's all about the Seoul Dynasty domination.
런던 스피파의 약점은 제가 봤을 때는 없는 것 같지만
Are you kidding me? That is crazy. Jaehong's there. That's another one. Let's go.
This is the man to watch out for, the best stunner in the world, I think.
플래터 선수가 너무 잘해가지고 플래터 선수가 제일 무섭지 않나 생각합니다.
Another direct hit coming out of Fleta on a Surefour.
라이벌이라고 평소에 의식한 적은 없는데 라이벌로 생각을 이제 하려면 미로 선수가 있을 것 같네요.
Miro, one of the greatest tanks in the game, leading the way.
피셔 선수, 제스처 선수 두 분 다 너무 잘하시는 분이어가지고 누가 나와도 힘든 경기가 될 거라고 생각합니다.
Gesture was a monster, all 4 maps.
탑3 안에 들을 정도로 강팀이라고 불리고 있기 때문에 아마 기대를 받는 게 아닐까 생각합니다.
Hurek coming out, dropping all 5 of his teammates.
리그가 아직 길고 많이 남았지만은 첫 단추가 중요하다고 생각합니다. 이번에는 저희가 이기도록 하겠습니다.
Strong team, man. It is going to be tough to stop these guys.
런던 스피파이어 분들 저희 경기할 때 재밌게 합시다. 그때 봬요.
The Spitfire are out there doing aerial acrobatics.
서울 다이너스티 팀의 플래터 선수 머리 조심하세요.
Watch your head, boy. Bedougin's coming for you today. This is going to be one hell of a matchup. Welcome back to the Blizzard Arena, everybody. Are you ready for the big one? That's way too quiet, crowd. We got to get fired up in here. It's time to get into the action. Welcome back. I'm Chris Puckett, the host, alongside my full desk. And Zoe, this is a big matchup set up in front of us.
It sure is, because NYXL now put themselves onto the top of the leaderboard. They're currently in the first place. And this matchup coming up actually means a lot to them as well, because if this goes into a best of 5, if they actually draw it out to 5 maps and London wins, that means NYXL can keep that first place spot. Ooh.
So a 5-game series, you keep your #1 spot. Otherwise, you're cheering on London here. If you're
Yeah.
New York Excel, I assume. We'll see how this one plays out. Are you guys ready to get it going? It's time to find out who is going to compete with New York Excel at the top spot. Introducing first, the London Spitfire. This crowd is going crazy for the Spitfire, and this squad comes in with a 5-1 record. The only blemish was a surprise loss to Boston last week.
Yes, a very interesting lineup coming out today. We're not seeing Profit, we're seeing 4 members from the old GC Busan squad who competed in Korea. A lot of these names we haven't really seen on stage thus far, except for in the preseason. So this is a new London Spitfire on stage, and perhaps they're looking to change up a bad form.
It's a London Spitfire team that even in that pre-game video, they have actually expressed their nerves coming into this game. This team is still trying to find its footing here in the States, working their way through being regarded as one of the top teams in the squad, and now they're facing off against the Seoul Dynasty, which I think that they actually have a very positive way of coming out into this when you look at the DPS.
Woo y'all in the starting lineup today. Excited to see this man play. Johnny, let's talk a little bit about this lineup. Not a lot of people watched the matches over in Apex. They didn't see how the GC Busan became the Apex Season 4 champs. Real quick, players to watch from this squad in our opening game.
I would actually say, take a look at Wu Yal. He's one of my favorites coming out of that GC Busan team, because he was a bit of a standout player who actually made plays. Generally in GC Busan, it was all about Profit, of course, on that Tracer, who later on started flexing to the Genji. But Hu Yal was another one of those players who came in and was sort of a new generation of fresh blood into the Korean scene. So I'm going to look out for Hu Yal.
We'll keep our eyes on the DPS players. Keep your eye on Rascal as well as this one gets going. It's time to introduce, though, our second team to the stage. Give it up for the Seoul Dynasty. Fleta leading the charge today as Seoul takes the stage. This is a squad looking for revenge after dropping a 5-game series to the New York XL.
Yeah, and you know, if we're looking at that game against NYXL, Cookie has been very passive in there. That didn't really work out for them. He wasn't able to actually create space for the likes of Fleda, who remained a non-factor on basically all match long. Now this time we're going to see Miro being subbed in, so we're going to see a lot more aggression from that team.
Yes, they have shown this versatility before, obviously versus Boston, who has a pure dive team, I would say, with a few exceptions for Dreamcast, Perfect, and McCree. But in general, I think Seoul has the ability to counter pretty much all teams in the league. And this is just another addition we're seeing from this team. We're seeing Bunny, we're seeing Guido. This team is just telling me straight dive, take the aggression to London Spitfire. So another version of this very multi-phase Seoul Dynasty.
Well, they have plenty of ability to do so, but this face right now is missing a very familiar one. Jae-Hong is not here in the starting lineup, so I'm curious to see how this team is going to fare against the heavy dive from the Spitfire without their ace support.
Where's the king? That is the question on everybody's mind. When will Jae-Hong get put into this match? We'll have to keep our eyes out for him as the 4 games play out. And to be honest, I have a feeling we're going to 5 today once again. Let's talk about the matchup. We know it is massive. There's a lot of pressure on both of these teams. Zoe, I know you got a chance to talk to a few of the coaches. What do they have to say?
Yeah, so London Spitfire's coach Bishop told me that he's actually not too worried going into this game. He said that if his team can just stick to what they're good at, he doesn't think it's going to be a big problem because he personally doesn't feel like Seoul Dynasty actually has so much strategic depth. That's what Bishop had to say.
That's pretty interesting considering they've been flexing between so many different players. So I think if London Spitfire, they just stick to what they know best, that just leaves the Seoul Dynasty up for actually countering London Spitfire's very obvious play style, playing very aggressive, diving with Profit and Birdring. Obviously, they haven't fielded them for their first map, but later on, I expect the more common players to come in for London Spitfire, and Seoul Dynasty might utilize that, playing the Junkrat, etc., to shut down the very obvious dives coming in.
Well, they very clearly recognize what they need to address here by starting a different lineup here. They know that, okay, if Seoul Dynasty is just going to counter us, we're just going to throw something out that they're not expecting, and then Seoul Dynasty might have mind-gamed themselves one more by putting Jae-Hong out of the mix. But in the matchup against New York XL that went to 5 games, the Tracer from Sebiobi gave Seoul a run for their money and just ran with it. So I think that this time around, a big emphasis for London is going to be the Tracer play. If Tracer can just wreak havoc for London, it's going to be one-sided, I think.
Crumbs, I want you to keep going here as we're talking about this squad. What are London's keys to victory other than that Tracer?
So I think right now what London needs to do is actually have their DPS switch their focus and try to take out the DPS from the Seoul Dynasty. It seemed like they were not able to handle that kind of pressure against New York. And then on top of that, we've discussed it earlier, which is that London need to have that flexibility with their hero pool and the players that they substitute in to make sure that you're constantly throwing Seoul for a loop.
Seoul is looking to reclaim the top spot on our leaderboard, Johnny. How do they get it done?
Well, I think you have to utilize the Junkrat. I pointed it out earlier, of course, and it's such a strong hero to shut down the Genjis and Tracers. So I say utilize the Junkrat, as you've done before versus the Boston Uprising when you sweep them 4-0. Protect Flera, probably the best player in the league currently. I don't think there's an argument for that. His stats are just insane compared to the others. So you gotta protect Flera. And I want them to play faster because, as Zoe mentioned, we saw Kuki play a bit slow last week. They dropped off a lot of high ground because they weren't feeling too comfortable. I would say speed up, take the aggression to the other team and actually, control the high ground and actually make sure that your DPS players has room and I can actually make something happen in this game. So I'd say play faster overall.
Let's get the official prediction starting with you, Zoe.
You know what? If London Spitfire manages to shut down Fleda, I think this is going to be their game to win. So I'm going to go with London.
You're going with London. They do shut down Fleda, she says. Johnny?
I'm still pretty undecided. I actually haven't decided yet who I'm going for. So I'm actually going with London Spitfire as well. I believe they can do it, yeah.
On the spot. We got London. Where are you going today?
I'm going with Seoul. Seoul's still one of the top teams to me. They got taken in 5 games, but they're clearly understanding what they need to fix. I think that they are going to be able to dispatch with London's strategy of dive quite easily.
London's bringing in a new lineup today. Some familiar faces if you've been watching Apex. How will Seoul handle it? It's time to find out as we send it backstage. We got Semler with Hex.
Thank you so much, Puckett, and thank you to the desk for giving us some spice there at the end. I love it. Crumbs, he's like a slow-burning fuse, but then he goes off like a megaton bomb. That's what I'm talking about. Give me that soul rep from him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really hard, their job right now, to pick between these two teams. It's a battle of behemoths in the league. They're both 5-1. I can see it going either way. I think they play different styles, and will chaos in the version of London Spitfire reign over the well-oiled machine that is the Seoul Dynasty?
That's my thing, though. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Hex, Seoul right now, they know they're the top dogs in this league. They know that they are the real threat on the server, and so it's all going to be about London. Do they have the confidence? Do they know that they can beat Seoul?
Well, they're going to have to pull out some tricks, because I think this map pool generally does favor Seoul. Seoul has not lost a single map that's in today's pool, whereas London has lost both Ilios and Anubis. So definitely some weaknesses there they have to sort out. Both teams running interesting rosters as we fly through Numbani here. Numbani, you're going to see lots of stuff, but they did mention no Jaehong on the defense. The Ana Emperor himself out of it, and this is a map that you can run Ana on very comfortably in the back lines. It's one of the few maps that we see Ana in.
Yeah, exactly right, because you have that long, I mean, you don't see it quite yet. We will get that map through, and I think we've just gone through it as well as we get to the second point arch here. But right before that, right, you've got that long line, that long road that you can see the high ground on both sides with Ana. You get that scoped healing in play, and you really get a chance to shine. And really, this is one of the reasons why I love watching this map, is because we get to see some Ana play. I think there's a lot of skill involved with Ana in terms of decision making and also mechanics.
Yeah, and first point defense is one of those stages where you can hold first point defense. Even though it's a hybrid map, you see more first holds on Numbani than you would on several other of the hybrid maps. It's such a long run for the offense to get there. Plays a little bit more like an assault last than it does a hybrid first. So Guido has to step into some mighty big shoes of Jaehong, but he's definitely up to the task.
Look at these vandals. First thing they do, they just start wrecking the city. It's such a beautiful city, too. I mean, come on, Seoul, really.
I always imagine that off stage, there's this unsung group of hero workers that have to come out and replace all the railings between every single map. Those are the true heroes of Overwatch.
Exactly right. Every time you swap over, I mean, obviously they have a bit of a lunch break between halves. You know, they're not swapping the railings out then. But every time you see the map, there you go, brand spanking new. Props to those guys, to the city crew who are keeping it beautiful. We are about to begin the first map between these top 3 teams here in the league. London Spitfire will be taking the fight on the offense, so the Seoul Dynasty will be on the defense. We do have Guido bringing the Ana into play, so we'll see if he measures up versus the god tier play of Jaehong, of course.
Well, a lot of this is going to be how Rascal plays around Fleta. He's got to stay out of sight lines. He can't give Fleta a free shot at all. You can't be banking on Fleta missing shots because the man simply does not very often. Bunny gets in and gets on Rascal first overall. The Tracer play is going to be crucial in today's match.
That's it. This was one of the focal points that was mentioned, definitely, and we'll see. There's a little bit of variety here possible for both of these teams. Birdring takes that pack a bit early, and so he's going to have to back off. Can't hang around as long as you like to take that fight with Bunny. Both teams, well, both Tracers at least kind of matching each other right now.
Birdwing has an interesting style. He's more of a big play tracer. Tends to hit pulse bombs more, but doesn't get the final blows that other teams do. He has a lot of burst damage output. Right now, brawl going on. Still no first deaths. Trying to lock down these tracers, but that's a Herculean task. Bunny does find someone in the back line, and now 2 down quickly for Spitfire, and that's it, because closer out of the fight means no more second chances.
Yeah, Woo Hyul gets demeched as well, so no possibility for stall whatsoever. And you can see here from the style on Seoul Dynasty, you have this death ball kind of moving around on the point, collapsing on target after target, and it just results in a whole lot of yellow in the kill feed.
Bunny again finds Rascal. Did some deep diving into some stats earlier today because I think it's such an interesting matchup when you get these teams together. Bunny is doing about 10,000 damage per minute, more than any other Tracer in the league. That includes everybody else here. 1,000 more. Wow,
I was about to say 10,000.
That's a lot more.
Damn!
But it's what
get this guy in the match.
8,500 average is what most Tracers are doing per 10 minutes, and Bunny is doing about 9,600.
He is a beast, certainly. I mean, that's the thing. When it comes to the top tier Tracers in the league, they're all powerful. It's all just going to come down to the fine details and who communicates better on the day as well. As we see right now for Seoul, as far as the defense is concerned, they are very good at moving together as a unit. Fleta under pressure, though. That's going to spice things up. Looking for the angle on Rascal. Not sure if he managed to pick up that kill. Instead, it's going to be Bunny there to remove Hagopian.
Birdwing digging the pulse bomb early on. That is his style of Tracer. He hits and sticks a lot of those pulse bombs. Big play potential from him. Bringing people back to life, but down again they go as the self-destruct over the top takes down 2 from Seoul.
Oh boy, that's big. And now Miro, he's gonna buy a little bit of time with that shield, but decides to pop the Primal Rage instead, and so he'll be leaping all over the place, contesting, waiting for his DPS and his heals to get back into this fight, as Bunny just still remains this remarkable threat on the point. You can't shut this guy down, it seems. He is just constantly pumping damage into London Spitfire.
so much consistent damage, and yet to die forces out that Transcend as well as they were going all in to continue this push. They got one tick very nearly, might be permanent on there, only a minute left. Gesture finds some people in the corner. That's not where you want to be with a Primal Raging Winston.
This is the most annoying thing to deal with as well. Bunny, when he's on point, when he's on top of his cooldowns as well, recalls out of harm's way, still alive, although it does seem like Soul, they may have a last-ditch effort. Exactly, Zelba gets in nick of time to contest the point. There will be one more fight here for Soul. Now we have to see, are they going to be able to change it around, because Rascal already reigning in death and destruction. Fleta, the real threat here for Soul, is already out of the map.
They were able to take down Toby too, which means that the healing is going to be virtually non-existent on this point. A couple more stalls, and the defense, if they can stall a little bit, can usually get people back, but not this time. With only a minute remaining, London will take first point in Nbani.
And we will get the replay here of this engage, it looks like, and that was the money self-destruct. Wow, Toby just managing to get out of harm's way right on time, but wasn't enough for his teammates, sadly. Anna with the lack of mobility, that is one of the things that can hold her back in a match.
It's tough with those legs trying to move out of the way. No sprint
Those old
for her.
legs.
Yeah, well, I was gonna
the old knees giving out.
I was gonna avoid it, but you know, Soldier 76 must have had some prosthetics because he's still got the sprint going for him.
He's got those titanium knees. I mean, it is the future after all. You would hope the prosthetics would be a bit better than they are today. Still, progress. Birdring looking for an angle, gonna go high, way out in the open, and somehow finds a shot on Fleta. So sick. We can hardly spot him there. In game with the split second, and the man doesn't miss the shot, and that may turn the tide here. Birdring really trying to pour it on.
Resurrection comes back into the mix. Bunny continues to be a terror on the ground. Rarely does a fight occur where he's not in the kill feed on that left-hand side. They're going to force out a Resurrection on the other side of things, but now Fleta is the one who is untethered, looking for shots. His battle still anybody's fight. So Rascal nearing a tactical visor, but it might be too much. It's time to leave.
Yeah, Birdring going to get pinned in the corner as well. No escape, and they will have the reset. Rascal ferrying his back line backwards, although he is cutting it very close. Thanks to body shot. Miro's there with the follow-up. We'll drop him in the end. Good stagger kills coming in here for Seoul Dynasty, and they're doing a fantastic job of whittling down the clock for London Spitfire. Spitfire capped the first point with only 30 seconds left, and we just ticked past a minute 30 here.
One of the issues with this map is if you lose second point on offense, generally this is where you find yourself all the way back at spawn. The defense is so good at flipping the switch and coming back onto you, chasing those kills, and then camping right outside. It's like all that progress might as well have been lost.
Jiggle peek attempts there from Birdring, trying to get cute with Fleta, but Fleta not falling for it. And now Soul just realizing that they can challenge again. It's all right if they take the fight out here. They will be able to make it back to that payload and challenge again if they lose anybody, and they are just buying valuable time. 60 seconds remain. And I mean, London are hardly making any progress at all. They need one of their DPS players to come up big here, create an opportunity, but Zumba will be there to take down Hagafun, and that's going to slow things down even further.
Rascal trying to take a little cute angle there, but now a whole slew of white on the right side again, and they're down to one good shot to continue to push. And the big thing is Soul's going to have 8 lives thanks to Toby's Resurrection. The ability to bring back heroes still strong in the patch we're playing on here. And Toby's been very patient with it.
Exactly right. This is not the live patch that is on matchmaking right now, in case you are wondering. Valk is still just as powerful here for Mercy. She lives on. Is out Fleta. Nicely done by Gesture, dodging the headshot, making it difficult for Fleta here to find a shot. Fleta not going to be able to get the kill, unfortunately for him, and now he's under pressure from Birdring. Will be able to make it out. Good team play there from his back line, keeping him alive.
Now it's just stall time here as they're diving in onto the card and putting themselves in hazardous position. Rascal is the first to fall. There's another Resurrection. Both sides now back at full fighting strength. 6 are up, but Toby has got the chain healing closer. Actually closed the gap, got his own Valkyrie during that. That might be enough to bring back London's offense, but they're going to have to push this to second in overtime.
And they need to not get cut off here. Things are going to get a bit dicey if you're getting split off from your teammates. Closer gets overwhelmed in the end. Do believe that Hagafun was able to make it around the corner and keep this fight alive, but the headshots coming through. You hear it. It's always painful if you're on the receiving end.
Bunny Blaster taking on 2 meanings there as the pilot Diva trying to take down Bunny from a distance. Unable to get there, no contest, comes out for second. 90 seconds remain to see how far London can push this. They're gonna look like they're moving back. It seems like they want to make changes. I think Rascal would be the first to change. She's falling all the way back here. Oh, they've got someone staggered way back here. That's Bunny, falls to Birdring.
Now, yes, there will be the change. Eventually, Rascal does switch over to the Junkrat, looking to take advantage perhaps of that high ground or of the arch. If Seoul Dynasty decide this is a usual pretty popular spot to set up your defense to try and challenge early. But if you got nades landing on you from left and right, that can get a bit tricky at the choke point.
It's going to help prevent the dive. This is the anti-dive defense, or gone fishing, if you will. Gesture's going to look for those halts, and then they're going to look for hooks. There's a hook. A lot of people are hesitant to hook divas, but it's great. It forces her out at the very least, just for one of your basic abilities.
Point blank, you got to be a little bit careful there, Miro. Does manage to make it in, but the point blank shot onto Fleta. No chance for Fleta, although he will get rezzed by Toby in the end, and that was just a dry res as well.
The alt fire from Roadhog can absolutely crush people if you hit that sweet spot with it. It's like when you hit a perfect shot in golf, you know it as soon as it leaves the barrel. Right there, they continue to push here. Now they force out Transcend, just supports dying on the cart to try to stall.
They know that Bunny is in the back line as well, although it does look like he did get back in. The hook attempt from y'all, you think it's gonna happen? Not quite. Fleta has joined the party though with the barrage, shutting down Rascal, and it looks like Seoul will be able to stop the payload before it reaches the third point. Crowd getting hyped for that, and they definitely should be. This is looking like a very solid roster right now, dealing with the Spitfire. They got the anti-flak cannons just blazing away.
Very nice there, and as excited as we are and as excited as the audience is, I walked past both these teams coming into the stadium today, about 5 minutes pre-match, and no one is more excited than both these teams. Everyone's laughing, they're joking with each other. I think they really want to establish dominance here. These are teams that we expect to be in the mix for the grand playoffs, and definitely in the playoffs in stage number 1.
Oh, you would think that for London, at least, they should think that they can be at the top of this league. The only loss they've suffered was at the hands of Boston. And, well, if you ask Seoul what they think of Boston, they 4-0'd them. So, little bit of a change around there.
Transitive property.
Seoul have only lost to New York so far, and that's another top 3 team here in the league.
And it was about as close as could be. That one went to 5 there. As I mentioned, the map pool, luck of the draw, does favor Seoul here. Have never lost one of these maps in the Overwatch League so far.
They truly are the Goliath here. But, like the story goes, perhaps we will have London gunning them down in a blaze of glory. We're going to switch sides now, and it will be London on the defense. It will be Seoul taking the fight to them. I'm very curious to see what we'll have in store for us here, considering that change of roster. Again, with Jaehong not in the fight here on the first map, kind of opens things up here for Seoul. Allows them to get a little bit more creative, perhaps. Or at least difficult to read, we'll put it that way.
All right, defense, a little bit of a different wrinkle here, running a Junkrat overall, so seems like they don't really want to switch up a whole lot. On the other side of things, offense coming in is going to be Fleta on the Pharah, who rained on the parade to end the defense on the other half of this map. And then I think the man to watch still is Bunny. If you're an offensive tracer on Numbani, your biggest goal is to stay alive so that the defense cannot focus on one angle of attack. You need to be causing problems. You need to have people 360'd and worried that you're hanging around them and can strike at any given time.
Getting into those back hallways behind the points as well. We'll see, because right now London Spitfire, they do have, consider that Junkrat hasn't been nerfed in this patch either. This is still the pre-patch, and so his mines are still doing massive damage. So keep that in mind. It is a way to deal with a tracer if she happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Fleta's waiting for the call. He's waiting for the dive call so that they're not focused on him, so he can get some angles here. Dive is kind of stunted halfway through. Murdering is going to take down Vito very early. That should prompt a resurrection, depending on where he died. They've traded out Zenyatta's. Who can get there to resurrect is the question.
His rockets are so on point, Fleta. Unfortunately for him, his teammates aren't. They have already been knocked out of the fight, and so he has to give ground. But if he's hitting rockets like this already at the start, just killing people at will, things can get a bit dicey here for the Spitfire.
Now, Spitfire caught that dive halfway up the main street right there, so they dropped in, they dropped the Winston bubble to make sure that the dive couldn't come up behind them, and they really didn't let them get in position there. There's a lot of ways you can catch a dive. Falling back is one of them, or even pressing a little bit in front so they're uncomfortable and their timing's an advantage is another way to do it.
You can see this is standard fare, although he doesn't want to be running into those grenades.
Well, he got triple DPS now, so we'll see if Soldier 76 can get set up. He wins that 1v1 right away. And so the fact that they're not running their own Zenyatta is now negated. Both of the supports down. That is generally a very good sign for your attacking team.
Oh, it's Toby committing the Valk as well, so he'll be able to get the res up on Bunny, and this is definitely going to spin a bit out of control here for London Spitfire, already giving ground. Shot a parting one from Murdering, who gets hunted down promptly by Fleta. And it turns out that the trip DPS was the correct call here for Seoul Dynasty. They just go rolling right through onto the first point, cap it, and progress will begin. Although, as I say that, there will be a contest.
It's not over yet because Closer has his Valkyrie, so he can come in and help out. Tire's gonna come in as well, and then down goes Miro because of it. Toby using his Valkyrie way early after they killed 2 supports might turn out to be a fatal mistake.
They'll lack the throughput, but you still have the DPS that can turn the tide here. Bunny alive, wreaking havoc right now. Bunny continues to reign, but unfortunately for him, he will get caught in the end by Birdring, and they managed to withstand the push. London Spitfire, they've reduced Seoul Dynasty to 1:30 on the clock.
Toby just a little bit too quick on the trigger there, or the anti-trigger, if you will, and Valkyrie, they just killed both supports on the other side of things. And then he popped Valkyrie. I understand wanting to make sure you win a fight, but they're able to get back there with Gesture. Closer has his Valkyrie in tow, and they're able to stabilize because they simply had the support ultimate advantage.
That's just split second, though. You know, that's the kind of call that will win this game for London Spitfire to commit to it. Although Guido catching Rascal out of position, that's big. Birdring not quite going to connect with the shot on Bunny. Point blank, that's not exactly the duel you want to be getting into. If you are Widowmaker, you will get some peel, you will get some support, and he'll get the shot on Zoom, but more importantly, losing tanks here, Seoul Dynasty. And Seoul Dynasty, now they are at risk. Numbani, the res distance from the offense is so long, they really don't have a whole lot of time left.
Yet again, Bonnie's back in no man's land. They're looking for the stagger here to get him out of the fight, keep him out of the fight, but they want to get themselves in good fighting position again. They're just going to keep eyes and know that he's back there. They have to now fight it straight up and just try to call when they see the Tracer coming from behind.
Third strategy being used here by Seoul as well. They've swapped over to the Genji on Fleta. They have gone for the 2-2-2 kind of approach. We have the healing throughput as well. Guido, nowhere near Transcendence though, so it's all going to be about the discords and him calming that out, getting his teammates on board. Fleta eats a nade. That's no way to start the fight. And there it is, the instant kill from Rascal, putting on a show. He's even getting ready for the Riptire. Gonna come screaming out, but it's not even necessary. London Spitfire will hold on the first point of Numbani versus Seoul Dynasty. We're currently trembling on their thrones.
A lot of split-second decisions might come back to haunt Dynasty there. Some great Junkrat play, waiting for them to fall, hitting the double mine. Nice play, and I think London just sent a little bit of a message to the Dynasty.
The Dynasty have to be wondering. They lost to New York Excel, and now London Spitfire, their runner-up in terms of competition here. What a shot from Birdring. That's as clean as it gets.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
제 이름은 공진혁입니다. 게임 아이디는 미로입니다.
Miro in that Winston ultimate right now, trying to pave the way for the payload to keep rolling.
윈스턴이 가장 좋고 이유는 그냥 그런 캐릭터를 좀 제가 좋아해요. 좀 특이한 캐릭터. 약간
Battling on the point here against Miro. A lot of trouble. The rival rage will come out.
게임하는 거를 공격적으로 이끌어 나가는 걸 좀 좋아하기 때문에 탱커가 저한테 가장 맞는 포지션입니다.
He is so aggressive. He's able to make so much space for his team.
아직 그러니까 시즌이 진행 도중이잖아요. 제가 시즌이 끝날 때쯤에는 최고의 선수가 될 겁니다.
Well, he certainly has the pedigree, the history of competing at the top of the league, of not only the league, but also the history of Overwatch. I mean, Miro is a man to watch.
He's hipster Winston. He made Winston cool. He was playing Winston before Winston was cool. I think he showed a lot of tech way back in the first World Cup about what Winstons can really do and really riding that fine edge between damage and survivability. The very first Winston to make it look easy, which it is not.
No, it certainly isn't. When I play Winston, I just die repeatedly and wonder what the hell's going on. And then you realize, oh yeah, Miro's also got an orb on him. He's got heals. He's got healers. That's cool. Yeah, that works. I hear that that's a good thing. No.
It helps.
It helps. It helps. Let's get into the actual match, Hex. I mean, because now we're going to get into that second map that's coming up. It's going to be the Assault one. It's going to be Temple of Anubis. And already, you know, one thing to mention before we get into it is that we will have a sub going into this match as well. Prophet will be subbing in for Rascal for Spitfire. So already I'll start you off. Do you agree with this this sub? Do you think that this is going to be something that could work out for him?
I do. I think Prophet is the most pure of their Tracer players that they have on the roster. He plays Tracer in a style that is a little bit different. He's got the most final blows and killing blows, most consistent picks by himself in the backline, more of a freelancer, and he's there to finish fights rather than the big play potential of perhaps Birdring even on his Tracer as well. So I think Prophet is a very good choice for them. This is a map that they've struggled on. They did lose Anubis to Boston. But man, all the pressure I think is on Seoul right now. You go down 2-0 here, and then you've only got a couple more maps just to bring it to a tie. Very difficult. But I think Prophet is the right choice here. I think he is the best Tracer on the roster.
Seoul perhaps having flashbacks to the New York Excel match, the one team that they've lost against, another top 3 team here in the league. I mean, right now it's showing that the gap at the top, it's so close.
Look, there's a lot of questions around Seoul because yes, their record is one thing, but if you look at who they beat, it's not necessarily a murderer's row of teams, and now they're getting into the tougher part of their schedule as we go forward as well. New York gave them trouble. London's obviously going to give them trouble, which we expected, but maybe some smoke and mirrors go into this dynasty record.
This is going to be the curious thing, exactly, and that's the beauty of it. It's such a long league. We're going to really get to see all of these teams develop the players as well, and the fact that not only are they practicing and they're playing, but they've got media, they've got everything else, and so it's a crash course right now, and we'll see. Seoul, can they stay on it? London Spitfire, they're certainly looking pretty good. They're up 1-0 in the series. We're moving into Numbani now, to Anubis, and so that was awkward.
Did they miss the
He missed the jump.
Ah, yeah, because they're definitely running the strategy where they get the Orisa up top. That's why you have a Lucio and you have a Mei coming out there, and it's just we need to figure out a clever name for that. Let's open up the tweets. Tweet at me what the clever name for that is.
For what exactly?
Walling the Orisa up to top high ground. High horse? Get off your high horse.
But is she a horse? She's got horns. That's the thing, you know. She's more of a stud, like a stud bull.
Okay. Anyway, this is why we open it up to Twitter.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, greater minds on the spot. It's a bit tough to bring it up with something right now. A little bit too focused on the fact that Bunny is going to get to have the joy of all widows out there, which is basically an own personal shield on high ground, where he gets to overlook everything in front of him and reign supreme. And it looks like London Spitfire, they aren't even going to waste the time of running that Widow, at least to check at the beginning. They're just going to assume and go straight dive right from the start.
They've got the read, and this is how you crack it. Immediately you see that Prophet is actually on the Genji. Birdring will be running the Tracer. They're interchangeable in these roles a little bit. A great mine is going to give him the information that he wants. Genji's always going around that right-hand side, and he's going to try to pressure, which is why you see Bunny taking the angle he is to try to shut down that Genji. The rest of them are going to try to get in a position to dive up onto this Orisa. Bunny, if he feels threatened, will just dive back over there. No threats anymore. Bunny to the dome.
Yeah, Bunny wins that duel hands down. Hagapun definitely looking for that. He was looking for the volley that would perhaps pick off Bunny and get the ball rolling here, but it will be Seoul Dynasty withstanding the attack for now, at least, although Toby has been picked off fairly early. It looks like the damage was too one-sided for London Spitfire to be able to take advantage of it early.
Maybe this is something they can capitalize on, trying to get in there while Toby's on the run back, but he's also going to have sightlines to get back here quick. You can Guardian Angel up to this high ground rather quickly, rather than if your team was holding around the corner. So he should be back into the fray soon. There he is up top, and now a complete reset as London has to go back to the drawing board.
And now you have to deal, yes, okay, you got the room. That's great. Fine and dandy. Except that Fleta is here to just knock you all over the place and chuck mines in your face as well. Prophet with the reflex is going to get out-timed by Fleta, who collects a kill for free. He will get topped up, and right now it's looking fairly good here for the Seoul Dynasty. They will be able to drop down in time to contest this point.
Permission to land absolutely denied, and now you're playing a dangerous game closer by...
Get out of Fleta's turf right now. He is having none of it. You want to go for the greedy res? Well, you're going to get punished. And that means the rest of your team are going to die horrible deaths as well. Going to get picked up piece by piece here after Fleta's done with them.
Well, shades of Numbani here, though, as the Valkyrie is completely one-sided again in favor of London Spitfire. Toby uses Valk on the right, probably more necessary than on the last map, but now Closer and Hagopin are both nearing their support ultimates, which are decisive ultimates in the game of Overwatch right now. Fleta gonna slow him down, though, as Gesture taken out very early.
Yeah, you still have Bunny to rely on as well with the Widow, the one real counter to that Valking Closer when he gets it, when he gets the Valk. They need to get in there and actually soak some damage here, the tanks for London Spitfire that is, so that he can at least guarantee that Valk fairly early on in the fight, get some of that free healing, get that ult percentage rolling, and they're already backing off, giving ground. Fleta just dropping nades in left and right, delaying them further, and well, that's a bit too much damage there for Gesture. Even with the Primal, he has to back off.
Able to get in. Prophet gave his life for the supercharger kill and then was resurrected again. Big tire opportunity here.
There it is. Not too shabby. You find Prophet. That's a lot of damage out the window. He has the Dragon Blade as well, but he will get rezzed by Closer, and so he is back in the... Never mind! Fleta shuts him down immediately with the trap combo. No Dragon Blade in this fight. That's pretty much it. Fleta's put his foot down.
Brings him back only to feel the pain. However, despite all of this, they are turning it around on the ground. They lose their mercy, but it does not matter. They've been able to bank those ults and turn those support ultimate advantages into a one fight. Prophet got 3 lives. Didn't bust out his blade on any of them, so I think he's going to stay on the Genji hero, though. I think maybe Prophet and Birdring should switch a little bit. It seems like Prophet is being absolutely stymied.
He is having a bit of a struggle here versus Fleta, but you know, you get the Dragon Blade in there, see if you can chop some people into bits, and then change it up if it doesn't work. You still have time in the bank right now, moving into the second point, more than 4 minutes. Gesture has already been picked off to start, however, and that's going to get dicey as Prophet has not wasted any time whatsoever from getting that blade into it. Now it doesn't matter. He live, die, he can back off if he wants.
He's going to have to back off. This fight is over. They lost too much support. In fact, all of their support's going in. They can't do that. And then Miro on the chase. Says that tanks can still take down DPS. A 2 for 0 there. Gets them both.
And there it is, the change. Yeah. As he spawns back in. In fact, both DPS for Spitfire changing it up. Prophet will go to Junkrat, and Birdring will be on the Reaper. Fleta there to remove Hagopin. But that wasn't for long. Closer there with the res.
Y'all might be able to crack this open, send a self-destruct right down the center, and then the rest of your team can flank around. But you do need the Matrix to get in here. That's why he's going to go with his team. And gets everyone in safely to left side, but now you are fighting in a small area where explosions can really ruin your day.
I'm very curious, is he going to try and launch it into the back corner, or just save it to get a fresh new mech? Guaranteed. I mean, we're going to see in a second here as we have Fleta committing the Riptire into the fight, and what? Sick reaction time from Birdring to stay alive. Thought he was dead for sure. Instead, he will live to fight another day. Putting the shotguns into the front line here for London.
What is dead may never die. Wraith form, a great way to evade that. He's still back in the corner. Still no deaths yet. Prophet will fall. Now here finally comes a self-destruct and has zoned them out into the hallway. Resurrections now come in. London going all in on this fight.
Now, Toby getting picked is certainly not going to help things here. Prophet, one of the key kills that could make this all possible here for London Spitfire. Gesture still has the Primal Rage as well, so we'll see when he decides to get that into the fight as the Self-Destruct and the Transcend used here for Seoul Dynasty. Miro picked up as well out of the fight immediately, and Birdring is here with the shotguns point blank. Just stay on the point, guarantee one tick at least here, and now you can catch him just trickling in as well. If you're London, this is exactly where you want Soul to be.
Toby did need to get back in, but he got shut down at the gates there. That he is going to have Valkyrie available if he's ever able to get out on this point on time. Birdwing's going to try to shut it out. He's got Death Blossom waiting for spawns on the right-hand side. He's going to Blossom right into Toby, who Guardian Angels right past him.
Perfect, so much damage dealt. Great communication on the focus there. Fleto will catch Prophet, his counterpart with the Riptire, and still, however, London Spitfire, just too much damage done. Too much outlast ability here for this team. And they will pick up the second point here on Anubis. And so we will flip in a moment's time and see if Soul are going to be capable of the same, or if they're going to get held out once again.
We talk about Reaper a lot closing out this map, and we talk about, oh, it's because of his damage and that you have to fight in close quarters. He also has self-sustain. Those Hellfire shotguns will give a percentage of damage done back to health, a vampiric effect, if you will. So he doesn't need the babysitting of the supports that everyone else does, which means your tanks can stay topped off and healthy. You need so much damage to deal with them, while Reaper can essentially just freelance a little bit. Of course, an orb here and there is not going to hurt, but it's very nice. He's able to dodge tires like you saw, which was absolutely huge. If you're wasting a tire's like a guaranteed kill on somebody.
Should be.
Yeah.
Until you run into Birdring, who's just that quick hitting the Wraith form. You're right, there is a lot of sustain there. And that, I think, is what really made the difference. Not only that, the sustain, but I mean, you gotta love watching Reaper on second point just because of how quickly he can shred tanks as well.
This is the versatility of the DPS of London. They can both play Tracer, they can both play, well, essentially everything. They can switch off, one can play Genji, the other can play Tracer. But really, you're not losing a whole lot no matter which DPS are in there. Some may be better at others. I think Birdring has been a standout for London so far throughout the Overwatch League season. But that's what you get when you just stack these rosters full of talent. You can pretty much throw the dice on the table, whoever's number comes up goes in, and you're fine with that roster. I mean, let's talk about how well Hagopin has played as well.
Yeah, I mean, he has stood out.
This is a team that is used to good Zenyatta play, not necessarily from Hago.
And like most solid Zenyatas, at least the standout Zenyatas that we've seen, he's matching his DPS output with his heal output. So he's really just, might as well be considered the third DPS at this point with how much he's lending a hand. Curious to see the setup here. Birdring holding very far back. No Orisa there to back him up, however. He will not have that personal shield, at least from what we can see here. Eye in the sky right now tells us that Soul Dynasty are kind of dancing around the side, and it's like a half shield, let's say. You know, given the angle right now, he is somewhat protected.
Well, interesting, Soul is running an Ana Mercy together.
Okay, then.
They could switch off and actually run a Widow into this now that they know that the shield's not on the high ground. Other than that, they're just going to dive right in, but no one is pressuring Birdring at all. He's got free reign. Flight canceled for Toby trying to get out.
Yeah, super sick. There's a reflect. He doesn't care. The barrier's there to protect him. So long as he can remain up here, you can see how difficult it is to close the distance because it's a two-layered defense. So you're not allowing him to just walk up and be able to jump directly on a Birdring. You have to get through this initial platform defense to begin with before you can even start challenging the threat, the one-hit kill capability that Birdring has back there. The platform, the second row. What are they going to do?
It almost immediately like denies Genji's going to the left, which is why Bunny had to rotate all the way around to the right. He's got a recall out of it as well. Bunny's trying to get to the high ground so he can blink up onto Birdring to face some pressure. Tanks come in, but now Tanks playing back and forth against each other. Flooded down to that tire. He's going to force out a Valkyrie from Toby. Toby only gets one and he dies.
Now that is the biggest kill right there. Fleta, not long for it. He doesn't even hang around. He just stays put. He knows that he needs to die immediately and go for the reset. And Closer has still got his Valkyrie as well. That could be a game changer. Toby has used his Valk once again. Closer will be with the one coming out ahead in the Valk Wars.
Let's just record that line and we'll hit a button every time it happens. It's happened at least 3 times so far in this set. Definitely getting more value out of it. And now they're going to have both support ultimates.
Do you think this is Toby playing without Jaehong?
It's odd. It's not typical Toby, that's for certain right now, but I think London's done a great job of shutting him down. As soon as he comes in, as soon as they hear that sound that Valkyrie's pop, they collapse on him. So he goes in a position to get one resurrection. They never let him get out.
No one can hide from my sight.
Delayed infrasight as well now. So now you get to actually see it. Birdring, so polite.
Oh, a little gutsy. Yeah, they finally switched to Widow, knowing that Bunny can at least challenge Birdwing up top. Every attempt they've had to get up there has been completely thwarted. They tried to get a Tracer up there for naught. They sent a D.Va up there, got chased down by the opposing D.Va, and then she's not in the front line, and the rest of it got crushed. So now they're going to try to fight fire with fire or Widow with Widow.
Well, there it is. Fleta half HP already. He's got the Dragon Blade as well. He will get topped up. That means that Zumba dies in the meantime, and we're watching, waiting for when Fleta will choose to commit his ultimate. Look to chop him to bits because he's just hanging on by a thread right now, and he'll eventually get caught by Woohyul, chased down, and in the meantime, Birdwing still hanging on up high in the web. Kill after kill.
Birdwing took a very strange angle there. He was on the ground in the back corner, not necessarily where you see a Widow a lot of the time. They were looking for him. There was a Winston up top where he normally is perched. They didn't see him there, and then he just surprised, jumped out, got Bunny on the other side of things. They want to win this. They need to win this Widow war.
Well, there's a self-destruct committed by Woohyul. That's going to force them off the high ground, at least allow Gesture to breathe a little bit here. Could be a fresh barrier as well. Prophet looking for the flank, coming around the back line. He knows who he wants. Bunny is gone. Done already. And that's Toby out of position. The wings get popped, but Prophet's camping the body of the DPS player. He's not going to let a res come through.
Resurrection will come through on the other side of things. They are not going to have their Widow up for this fight. They're going to try to deal with it with a Blade. Blade in the back line. The dash does not come through. He's unable to get their support. Still don't know he's back here, though. But now the turnaround and the focus comes in. Toby's able to get Zumba back in the mix.
So at least you'll have your D.Va. And there's the Primal Rage popped by Miro. Hopping around, hoping to stay alive here. They need to delay long enough for Fleta to get into this fight. And he is here with the Genji. So does get this dash on a Hagapion, but the self-destruct out in the open finds Miro, and that's a big kill here for London Spitfire. Are they going to be able to do it again? The hard hold on the first point. Seoul Dynasty, they're getting flashbacks in Umbani, and they're still in this fight. Bunny, Pincer, dead, done, but there are still 4 players alive here for Seoul Dynasty. Not for long, though. Birdwing takes out, though, Toby, and that should be the end of it.
It's still really close because they don't have any healing. They switched off to a solo healer. Prophet does take down both tanks. That's going to be it. London, first ults. Are you kidding me?
2-0, 2-0. Are we going to get the clean sweep from London Spitfire?
And Dynasty was still on top, and we talked about going into their set in earlier matches as well, that they had map advantage too. So if Spitfire can pull this out 4-0, it's extremely close, even map advantage, and they'll have the head-by-head, and they'll have everything. If London dominates the Seoul Dynasty, they're almost a lock to knock them out of the first stage playoffs.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. are back in action. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Puckett alongside Crumbs and Reinforce, and we're here for the halftime between the London Spitfire and the Seoul Dynasty. Now, coming into the match today, we saw 4 players from the former GC Busan lineup in the mix for London Spitfire, and it seemed to catch Seoul off guard. Defense is said to win championships, and so far that's been the story for London in both games. Let's start with game number 1 as we went to Numbani. Guido is in the mix here for Seoul Dynasty. Ryu Jae-hong, their star support player, on the bench. But starting with the things that were working well, what a sniper and Bunny's Tracer were going off here for Seoul.
Yeah, they were going off, and they got a few picks, etc. I think Guido looked pretty decent on the Alliance Zenyatta, despite Ryu Jae-hong obviously being the better pick. It's a bit weird. I'm not entirely sure why they're running Bunny, Flera, and Guido. I don't think this is the top-tier lineup that Seoul can necessarily bring out, that you want to bring out versus these top teams like New York and London Spitfire. So we're a bit confused. They got full health now on 2 points, and it looks good in some parts, but they look a bit confused, maybe not as played together as we usually see Seoul in this matchup.
Things were looking really good for Seoul. You know, there was 30 seconds left as you saw London trying to approach that second point. They unlocked it, and then they nearly got the 3rd point. But Seoul, they couldn't even take point A. Let's talk a little bit about that defense, and here to do it, we have Crumbs with the telestration. Crumbs, how did London stop this Seoul squad?
Well, this was one of the most clutch moments we've had in the Overwatch League so far, and it all starts with Gesture. He's going to be the guy that we're going to be looking at. So we're going to have a camera switch right here, and now we're going to pause to see exactly what's going on. So you notice that it's at 98.2, 1.8%. So this is very clutch, and he already has his ultimate available. As soon as he leaps in, he's got the ultimate. There's a Valkyrie Mercy coming online. So they're stalling enough for the backline to get here, and there's a Riptire that Rascal is firing away. So these 3 things are what's crucial for this London Spitfire defense. So we're going to play this out and get to see exactly how they play it out. And Gesture ends up booping everybody away. You see now that Guido is far back, and Mercy, this is the key one, because Seoul was running a single support. There's no healing. Fleta is at half-life here. He can't sit around for too long, and by displacing everybody from the Seoul Dynasty, you now have room for this bad boy right here, that Riptire, and it is going to just wreck face because the Riptire goes for the best target available, and that's Winston. You no longer have a body on the point now. So how does the Seoul Dynasty continue this battle when Zumba is here isolated? The members of the London Spitfire are already started to funnel in, and they have a good line of sight, while Guido, he has to shoot through this right here, the little cart, the payload. He can't do anything here. There's nothing that they can actually deal damage to, and so all it takes is stalling a little bit longer with the Valkyrie, and then the match plays out exactly as you would. Fleta has his ultimate available, but because there are no targets, he finds himself just getting 2-shot by Rascal, and the entire defense falls apart. Rather, the offense falls apart based on Gestures pushing everybody away, making room for the tire, and now you don't have a tank on the payload, or on the point. Fight's lost.
Tanks are pretty important, Johnny, huh?
Yeah, it is a bit of a perfect storm, you have to say. It's really clutch, but at the same time, I mean, Gesture, there's 1.8% away from capping, of course. Gesture just wants to get in there, and he just happens to knock 3 players away. So it is really clutch from the London Spitfire team, and very impressive, of course. And I think that Seoul Dynasty necessarily weren't in the best positions. I don't think they were ready for London Spitfire re-engaging.
They thought they gave up.
Yeah, exactly. So perhaps they should have pushed forward a bit, have some more point pressure, and don't allow London Spitfire to have so much room when they get knocked even further back.
I love it. We got a big gang coming up this weekend, and that was like Gesture, your front lineman. That was a Hail Mary tire, and Rascal connected for a big win. So now we got London Spitfire on the board. They would take our first game. We load up the second one. This is Anubis. And again, it's a story of defense. But we're going to start with the attack as we roll some highlights your way. And Bunny switching it up, takes out the Widowmaker here. Meanwhile, it looks like we're going to put Fleta on the junk tires.
I mean, it looked great again. You see Seoul making plays. London Spitfire has a really hard trouble actually capping this point in the first place. But they eventually make it happen, you know. And they get a pretty fast cap on B. And so we go on to Seoul's attack later on here. And I'm a bit confused again by Seoul Dynasty's choice of members actually playing here, because we see Bonnie is not necessarily the best Widowmaker on the team. We have Fleta, we have Munchkin, and then we see, of course, Guido on the support. Hexagram's mentioned in the cast that, you know, Toby and Guido, they were a bit disjointed. So throughout this map, I'd say that we're looking at Seoul Dynasty, and they're not necessarily diving together, not really necessarily helping each other as much, because we see a new Seoul Dynasty lineup. And I think not being able to cap either of these points on either of these two maps is just that's just telling the coaching staff that something has to give. You know, you gotta put in Munchkin perhaps, get some change up in there, put in your star players, Ryu Jong. They're missing, and this is clearly showing.
Yeah, Toby, on that second point, if you were watching Anubis, it looked like he just needed friends. He was getting picked over and over again. Poor Toby. Seoul, they have halftime, though. They're able to review their stuff and figure out how do we fight back in this second half. How do we force another Game 5 like they went to against the New York Excel? And speaking of the New York Excel, they're up there. Shout out to you guys. Great games earlier. This is a big match, and they know what's on the line. Before we get to the second half, though, we got to send it down to the floor. We have a whole bunch of voices you may be familiar with in the venue, and so he's right by him.
Thank you so much, Pocket. Yeah, I have some of the voice actors joining me down here on the floor. Please give it up for those four wonderful human beings. Now, maybe introduce yourselves and the hero you're actually voicing.
Hello, I'm Fyodor Chin, the voice of Zenyatta. Experience tranquility.
Hi, I'm Anjali Bamani. I am the voice of Symmetra. And I'll say everything by design.
Hello, my name is Josh Petersdorf. I'm the voice of the one-man apocalypse, Roadhog. Say bacon one more time.
Hi, I'm Carolina Rabasa, and I'm the voice of Sombra Online. EMP activated. Apagando las luces.
Perfect. Now, you guys have been here to enjoy the show. This is the first time in the Blizzard Arena for you. How have you been enjoying it so far?
It's been amazing. I mean, this being our first time, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what the setup was. As soon as we walked in, it was like, check this out. You guys are, it's been so much fun to watch you watching. It's been so much fun to watch the players. It's just been a treat on every level.
This place is decked out from the wall, from the windows to the walls. All right? Yeah. And it's full of the best players in the world of Overwatch and the best fans in the world too.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. And these cosplays and these signs are making our lives. These are amazing. You guys are fantastic.
This feels like a crazy World Cup. I can't believe it. The energy in here is insane.
Yeah, and we have that every day. Isn't that amazing? So if you guys at home haven't had the chance to drop by, they highly recommend it, and so do I. Now, London is currently quite on a run. Do you think Seoul can bring it back?
Spitfire's been really impressive tonight, but I have faith in the dynasty of Seoul, and I definitely believe we're going to get a good Game 3 here, and I'm hoping that they can turn it around. Judging by their record and their previous play, I think Seoul is definitely going to put up a great fight this next map.
Well, we're going to find out after the break, so stay tuned for all the action right after a short clip.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Overwatch League represents a different direction than esports have taken in the past. A global community of professionals for a truly global league.
Welcome back from the break, everybody, and it's awesome to see that we have the voices of the heroes here in the studio with us today. Glad that they are actually going to take part in the Overwatch League as well.
Yeah, I was told to experience tranquility. I'm more experiencing befuddlement, I think would be.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that one. I mean, befuddlement can be very tranquil as well, right? You know,
ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, there you go, right? There you go. But, well, what isn't blissful is what's happening to Seoul right now. They are definitely up in arms, and, well, this has prompted is pretty much wholesale subs on both teams, actually. This is interesting as well. As far as London are concerned, they've gone ahead and made quite a few changes as well to the active roster here in the remainder of this match.
They're swapping out 4 players overall. So Budoshin's going to come in, Nuz going to come in, a tank named Fury is going to come in as well. They're going to bring Hureg in. So 4 out of the 6 are new players for the second half here. Stakes couldn't be higher. They win Ilios, they win the set.
Might as well be a new game.
Might
new
as well
match
be.
on our hands, boys. You know, this is it. We've got 2 new teams pretty much going at it. Start over again. And now we see, you know, are Seoul going to be able to bounce back, take us to map 5, because that's what they need to do here. Because otherwise, if there's one map picked up from London, they win the series, and Seoul find themselves in a bit of a dark place going on into the remainder of this league.
If Seoul was making changes based on the team they just faced, well, hey, guess what? Here's a brand new team. That is the depth that the London Spitfire have.
4D chess, man. There's no keeping on top of these guys.
8D shoots and ladders.
12D.
Just stop.
Flying in the sky, Spitfires. See, these guys, you know, they're like Tom Harding. You're just not gonna catch them, right? They've got the mask. You don't know who you're fighting against. All you see is the eyes and what hold the eyes, what are in the eyes. Madness, Hex, madness. These guys don't even know what they're doing. How do you play against that? Well, Seoul are gonna have to find out here. 14 seconds left before we kick it off on map 3, the control map for this series. Well, kind of curious to see what we have in terms of rosters. Who's going to go on what?
Well, if the rosters hold, we will have different styles. Fleda's going to take to the sky, even though he's not on the Spitfires, and it's going to be Hureg on the ground on the McCrees. We're going to kick it off here on Lighthouse. A lot of this first battle really matters when you want to run a Pharah and Mercy. Can you take the first hold and then get in position to deny and get all that sweet free entry damage? But if you get pushed back, it gets very difficult to reestablish. Toby, for the moment, is on Lucio. It can be a very good Lucio map. It might just be for the opening speed boost. But now they've swapped Guido over to the Mercy. So it looks like a Lucio Mercy versus a Mercy Zenyatta on the other side of things.
Just keeping you on your toes, Hex.
At the micro battle to watch, Hureg versus Fleta.
That is going to be it. And we saw a little bit of a tidbit there. Seoul, as far as Ilios are concerned, their DPS reigns supreme on this map. Question is, will they be able to generate wins off of the back of the damage? That is obviously what it's all about. You can do damage all day long. You can have the gold medal in damage, but if you're not winning, doesn't mean squat. And Zumba, he's already started off strong here with the kill on Gesture to begin with. Looked like they were trying to follow it up, trying to pin Nuss in the corner, and Toby will find that kill somehow.
Yeah, with Nuss out of the fight, this is Seoul's fight to lose. They've got a 6v4. Looks like no contest even going to come in from London, and this is the first fight that they needed, because now you get Fleta and Guido in the skies. How are you going to walk in here without taking damage by these rockets? 50% now. We'll see how much free charge he can get on the barrage.
I mean, the Seoul fans in the crowd right now. There we go. A little bit of noise, a little bit of noise. I mean, I think they're still traumatized after the loss versus XL, how it's gone so far. Spitfire, they kept the point to begin with, guys. It's taking for Seoul.
It looked like Budoshin got stuck in a trap, but there's no Junkrat. It's like his keyboard got unplugged. He wasn't even moving, just sitting outside, just ate the rocket from above. Very strange.
Not realizing how far forward Fleta had pushed. And Fleta right now, I mean, he gets to do what he wants, although we do have Hureg with the McCree. Doesn't seem like Hureg has been able to find the angle on Fleta out in the open. He's under pressure. Instead, Bunny will miss the pulse, but he does quite a bit of damage here to the back line at least.
Hureg has no idea how close he was to death. Never even turned around and saw that pulse bomb coming in. Now Fleta has switched position. Barrage is at the ready. He's going to wait for that Diva to be out of the mix so his Barrage does not get eaten. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the ground war is going in Spitfire's favor.
Yeah, and they don't want to have anything to do with Fleta as well. The high noon gets popped just to force him back around the corner. He's going to have to watch that point get capped. There's nothing he can do. And that's one way to approach it. You've got a pesky Pharah. Treat her like the mosquito, right? Don't pay attention to her. Swat out everybody else. And then, you know, she'll just fly away.
Do mosquitoes ignore if you don't look at them? They look like ghosts in Mario.
Listen,
is that what I've been doing wrong?
Roll with it, Hank. I don't even know when I say that. Just roll with it.
Next fight, they will have both battling Valkyries. Toby off of the Mercy, probably mercifully for him. He had a rough couple of lives as that Mercy, so they're going to put Guido onto the flying healer herself.
Wow, so much damage above the barrage. It's just icing on the cake, and that's all Fleta gets. Hurek is pretty much dead anyway. So the barrage only going to be able to pick up the 1 kill. Hurek will be brought back to life, but so will Fleta. And so we start over. This is the old patch. Mercy has still got the reses that she can put into play as soon as that Valk comes in.
First Resurrection's out. Oh, but he does poke a little too far. Luckily, there was another res in Nuss's pocket, able to bring that one back up. All this time, London has been in control of the points. Not a dominant enough fight for Seoul to be able to swap it back. They do try to poke at it just a little bit. Sorry, actually, London now just taking back control of the points. Seoul had grabbed it momentarily, got themselves another 5%. London looking for the swift take back. They do just that.
Very close call, trading hands back and forth, and this time it's Doshin alive on the point, looking for the volley, but Fleta not going to give him a target, unfortunately for him. Still, he'll be perfectly fine now as they tie it up and pull ahead. London Spitfire now looking very solid on this first point with a couple of good ults to work with, and more importantly, Nuss 10% away from Valk.
Hurek hasn't been much on the kill feed, but he's obviously been doing damage because he's worked his way up to his ultimate. And now you have the ultimate battle where Hurek can find his spot on the stairs, hopefully get a Deadeye off. That opening damage is going to mean Winston in a world of hurt. Nice heals, though, going to keep him alive, but only for the moment as Fury and Gesture combine to take out their counterparts. No tanks on the side of Seoul, and that should be the signal for retreat, but they don't really even have time for retreat.
No, they have to get back in here and fight immediately. There's only 5% left before London Spitfire cap this first point, this first map, and we move on to the next. Bunny will just be able to get in here to contest. Nick of time, but Hurek just waiting for the perfect opportunity, and exactly, he's got the Deadeye. Will he find a target? Everybody is so close. They're playing those sidelines perfectly. Gets nothing out of the ult.
Not even really zoning. Now, there comes the barrage, takes down Fury on the ground. They are going to lose a tank of their own, still back and forth. Next couple of kills are going to be absolutely huge. Guido is going to have his Valkyrie up momentarily. That could swing the fight for Seoul.
Exactly, that is going to be the big one, and there we go. Wings get popped, Prophet trying to stay on him, but that regen so good, keeping Guido alive. He will dance back and fly back around the corner and stay in it. Fleta, though, getting whittled down low. Prophet still in this, however. Unbelievable! Not going to get the kill on Sava. That would have been a difference maker. Instead, it does look like Seoul right now. If they can keep it together, they still have Guido alive, and that healing should make the difference.
Surprisingly, a late kill on Bunny as they're looking to reset. Nuss tries to get back up. He gets met by Winston up top. He will meet his unceremonious end on the ground. Seoul has taken control at this point, and we are ready to go into the final fight.
Miro, give him a good Scar impression there. I am the king now. This is over. It is now the fight for the point as both teams are contesting. Seoul getting closer to 99% themselves. They just need to hang on a little bit longer, and Toby staying alive in this fight. Pinned Fury into the corner, eventually gets the D-Mac. That's big. Unfortunately, Doshin wasn't able to get his trance off in time to keep his team in a mech, and instead it's Prophet finding the kill on Toby, and this is a long, drawn-out fight. Although, as I say that, they come so close to flipping the point. Fleta only going to find the 1 kill on Fury.
The 1 resurrection comes off. London has more people back into this fight, back onto the point. 4 against 0 so far. London 1 stage away from winning the set.
You can see the excitement there from Doshin. They know just how close they are. Take note of the fact that Seoul have not picked up a single point on any of these maps so far in this series. This has truly been the Spitfire show.
Seoul looks a lot like my bowling score.
You gutter that often, man?
Gutter balls all around for Seoul so far.
You want to go play bowling?
Well, now,
you want to go bowling?
Yeah, now you want to.
That'd be a good night. Feel good night. Play some matchmaking. I'll lose a bunch, and then I'll feel better later on.
London's done a great job of targeting down the Seoul tanks, because as good as Seoul is across the board in DPS and support, their bread is buttered by their tanks and the space that they make. But so often on the last stage, Miro and Zuma went out first. It's absolutely huge. Everyone else has no protection, and then they just cleaned up after that. Even if they had to disengage after killing both tanks, they come back in and it's easy pickings.
Yeah, nothing but the soft squishies left. Although there's the shot. Fleta, this is certainly the map that he shines on. Nuss already gone. Fleta, once again, very much at home here on Ilios' third point, or second point in this case.
He's been very...
We'll see if we make it to the murder hole.
He's been very quiet so far, and now I'm really just rooting to get to the murder hole.
How satisfying is that name? It does fit it. It's perfect.
Soul has taken first control here, and that's always great. If you're Fleta on this Widowmaker, you're going to have all the free sight lines in the world, and really there's no way to deal with a Widow back here unless you ignore her or you're counter Widow. Sending your tanks back here means that they're going to have to go so deep the rest of the tanks can get back there. Meanwhile, Jester has fallen already. They're forced out an early res.
And Nuss will be able to bring him back to life. That was not a Valk res, however. 60%. So far towards Valk, Bunny dueling right on the edge. With Fleta, the eye in the sky. No, never mind. Urag gets the drop on him. That could be the difference maker. Toby will have Valk very soon, but not soon enough. He'll go for the res straight away instead of waiting for the ultimate. Taking that risk. He needs to get his, well, yes, exactly. You get Fleta back in the fight because he's already found a kill on Nuss. But Urag is there to trade it right back. Takes down Guido.
Urag could see through walls, was able to win that early Widow duel, and then he got another kill for himself. However, Valkyrie will come in and do a lot of that hard work. This longer this fight goes, the better it is for Soul, as they've been in control of the point the whole time. Jester down to half health, even on his Primal Rage, trying to do something on the point, but he's not going to be enough. They're still going in on this, even at lower numbers. Urag gets another support, gets both supports!
Okay then, turns out it pays off in the end. Those should pops Transcend as well, just make sure that they can get a clean up here. Make sure that they just get the lockdown in effect. That's as good as it gets for London Spitfire. Once again, you really get the show of just how powerful Widow can be on this map with those long sight lines. One mistake and that can be it, the point flips.
Throughout the Overwatch League, Fleta has simply outclassed most other Widows. It's not really been that close. Maybe even its closest was against Dia in those duels, but those didn't matter a whole lot. So far, he has been put in check.
Now it's a matter of actually contesting the point. Urag in a spot that isn't very obvious. Not often you see them. Yeah, exactly. That's why, because as soon as you go out in the open, Fleta is waiting. Finds the kill immediately. Toby under pressure, however, will get picked by Prophet. So that's a solid, at least, answer here coming in from London Spitfire. Only question is, do they have exactly the throughput here to stay alive on the point and continue to contest? I think not. Prophet is gone. Zumba runs him over. And Seoul Dynasty very close now to picking up this second point and taking this to a third.
About one more fight here, and London doesn't necessarily have the tools that they want to be able to take this back. They need to ride this out, stall it out until they get to their own Valkyrie. They have a massive Valkyrie advantage, nearing about 60% on that. That is an ult that they're going to probably preemptively pop, but with Fleta lurking, even a Valkyrie is not a guaranteed fight win.
This is such a tight spot if you're Winston as well. You want to go jumping in. Just walking in, though, you feel like such a big lumbering target, especially when Plus like just can't seem to miss. Shot after shot. Fleta just whittling down these tanks, making it so difficult for London Spitfire to commit to the fight.
The preemptive Valk has come out from Nuss. He's trying to keep his team alive. No one's really needed to be resurrected so far, but the chain healing's making sure that they don't even die to begin with. Not always about the resurrections for Valkyrie. A lot of it is about being able to keep your team healthy, especially when you're going to try to take a point back into the small fighting pit that is here on Ruins. And finally, London's taking it back. Prophet's going to be on the lurk here. They cannot lose a single fight if they want to take this stage.
Hex, did you know that their ultimates were charging?
I heard.
I didn't.
I've heard that some ultimates have been charging.
Toby's in particular, I think, is the one that we're definitely keeping an eye on here. Look at that. We'll have Valk so quickly here, whereas Nuss very far away from a Valk of his own. That could be the difference maker here in the fight. We've seen it before. Prophet with the stick. Takes down Miro immediately, and obviously they want to use him as bait to try and find the kill on Toby.
Smart play there from Soul, because that kill was supposed to bait out the resurrection. Soul was supposed to go all in on it. They decide to retreat instead, and they will fall back and just count the percentage they have left until they have to roll in here with both of their ultimates. Again, Valkyrie and Transcendence up, only Transcend for London.
I didn't know we were watching Full Metal Jacket, but it is going to be Urag. Once again, high ground, keeping an eye open for Fleta or for Toby. Toby wouldn't be a bad target either. That could definitely make the difference here. Transcendence has been popped, forced, and now Toby out in the open trying to hide behind the pillars. This could get a bit dicey here for him. He is out there.
The fight's over. Soul was able to get in the back line. Zuma took down both of the supports on the other side of things. However, both supports fall on the other side as well. It is going to be a beat 'em up down there. No healing for anybody. Who can out DPS the other? Soul getting pushed back. Fleta has to come in just to touch, but that is a short-lived life. London Spitfire, another 2-0. A 3-0 in the set. They will beat the Seoul Dynasty.
And I think few people out there are as shocked as I am. Where you think Seoul have done it, they've managed to take it to the third point. Nope, not gonna happen. London, they are decisive. 3-0, not dropping a point so far in this series, and Seoul are definitely gonna be wondering what the hell is happening to them.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
Welcome back. This is Zoe now. 3 maps down and still no Ryu Jae-hong. Is he sick? Is he hurt? Well, no, not quiet. I actually spent my halftime talking to the team about Guido being fielded against probably one of their toughest opponents, the London Spitfire. And they told me that they actually think the Guido style is more suited against the London Spitfire. Everyone knows Ryu Jae-hong. We all know his strength. Some people may also know his weaknesses, and they really felt like they need the element of surprise. So going into this match, they actually practiced with Guido only, and they felt like this is working out great. However, so far, I have to say, this element of surprise, London Spitfire didn't look too surprised as of now. Will Seoul Dynasty stick to this game plan or not? Let's find out in map number 4, and for that, we head over to Hex and Semler.
Thank you, Zoe. So, I mean, this is a bit of a hot point right here because, you know, are you surprised if you're London Spitfire, or are you just changing your roster every single map to make sure that Seoul have no idea what they're going to be playing against next?
I mean, I'm surprised they didn't field Jaehong. There's a notion of outthinking yourself sometimes, of like, oh, he's been very good, we're going to surprise them. I think London's probably surprised that they're 3-0 and that Seoul hasn't taken a single point. I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
The guys are looking pretty happy with themselves right now. You know,
Yeah.
firm handshakes and back pats and everything. I mean, we could go through it all over again, but basically 4 players have been subbed for Spitfire again going into this last map of this series.
You just saw their control squad come in for that. Now they're all coming back out, and they closed out the victory for them. So now going to get some more time and really playing with house money right now. Of course, map wins do matter, so we're going to go to number 4 here. And I think it's a morale map for Seoul Dynasty. Losing a set, you can get over. Losing a set like this, that is a tough pill to swallow.
If you get hard shut down on the first point of Dorado, which isn't something that happens very often, worth noting, that is really where you start to get, you know, Seoul, where they need some, you know, some hugs, some hot cocoa, you know, maybe a good story read to them at this point, you know, anything to calm them down, because it's going to be looking pretty grim over there in their room. I mean, we are going to get the fly through, and so this is a pure payload map, pushing it all the way from point A to the first to the last. So Arch, usually one of the hot spots on the map where you see quite a bit of fighting.
You do early poke. This is the courtyard area. Oftentimes, this will determine if someone gets the first point or they will not. There's usually 2 fights at the very least for the defense, sometimes contesting that archway. Then you're able to reset and come back out here. So the first point of Dorado, you have to win probably at least 2 fights on the offense to be able to take. Then it kind of changes a little bit, all about high ground, defender's advantage in full effect here. Another archway as you come around. And last point, it gets a little claustrophobic. Very difficult to close out the map. You can't really run afar on that map. Defense advantage gets even better as you have a better high ground and very hard for the offense to take.
Exactly right. With the stairways, you have ease of access to the high ground, and your res point isn't, you know, abysmally far away, especially for those heroes who can get over walls very quickly. They can get right back into the fight again, and so it is going to be a question of who is going to come out ahead here in this match on the last one, because if it comes down to head-to-head and if it comes down to rankings, every map matters in these series, and so London Spitfire, they've won the series. Now they need to win this last map to really entomb their competition in Seoul.
They're closing the map gap for sure. They're definitely going to have the head-to-head advantage and the match victory advantage as far as scores go, but Seoul coming into this had the best map differential in the entire league, even up all the 5-1 teams. So obviously they're going to fall to 5-2. London will go to 6-1, but London with a 4-0 I think would be very close at map differential.
It's going to get real dicey, and that's top spot in the league, because don't forget you have New York Excel up there who are battling for it as well, and New York Excel, well, that was Seoul Dynasty losing to them as well. And so this is going to be a lot of fun to see what we have in store for us here. Fleta on the Soldier, at least on the defense to start, and so no Doomfist. I am a little bit disappointed, a little bit sad about that. Starting to get a little bit used to that earlier effect, my boy.
I'm a huge fan of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out as well.
Oh, yes. The king.
Well, early on, just a little poke. This happens every time on Dorado. Usually no one's going to fall here. The tanks just do this awkward mating dance from above and below. Then eventually they will back out of it. No one usually falls in these circumstances, but if you can get an early pick on the defense and you can really reset and hold spawn pretty well.
Now, don't want to hang around too much. And Miro decides it's a bit too hot to handle. He leaps back over to his supports. Going to get them some ult charge. Nice and nifty and neat. As Wu Hyal right in the corner. Thought for a second that Bunny was dead, but he's just too quick. And in the meantime, Birdring looking for the back line. Runs point blank into Fleta. Guess what, Fleta? There's no getting away. Birdring, though, not able to confirm it. He will back off, though, and that's definitely going to put Fleta on notice.
Huge IQ play to be back in his retreat path. However, the Mercy was there and will save that Soldier 76's life. Still, though, the offense has been really just pushing forward. No defense to speak of so far. Bunny will find a kill eventually, but both supports fall yet again for the Seoul Dynasty. And this one is all over but the crying.
That's where it's really interesting what Zoe was saying, and you know, in terms of what she got from the Seoul coaches, the fact that they felt really good with Guido, practicing with him this week. It just feels like that Toby-Guido combo right now, something is amiss. They aren't quite gelling, obviously, the way that Toby and Jaehong work so well together.
They won the fight. Still another defensive hold trying to come out here right now. The blade gets completely shut down by the visor. Resurrections in on both sides, bringing both teams back to full fighting strength. Prophet will fall yet again, and I don't believe there's another res for him.
No, it's been used on Gesture. Gesture should be able to leap in here if he wants to try and at least create a little bit more space. Hagopiln, though, will find the kill on someone, but it doesn't matter because Toby is there with the res, and so that we will get this back up to the fight. We've got both trances in this, both of these teams fully committing to this fight in terms of ultimates. And there it is, the Primal Rage used by Gesture. Now he's just going to be this enraged beast, slamming people into corners. The 3 quick kills for London Spitfire should turn the tide.
It's not just about subbing out someone who you think is a better matchup. How does Toby feel about him coming in? Where's the synergy between these two supports? It doesn't seem like the peel is necessarily there for them. They're not keeping each other alive. And very often these first fights have started with tanks for Soul falling and supports falling. But mostly the problem is they're falling in pairs. You can lose one tank and a support and still come back in a fight. Losing both tanks is terrible. Losing both supports, even worse.
That's where the fight pretty much just ends by default. No healing. Well, Prophet kind of dancing around on the edge here. Definitely looking for his Dragon Blade, and well, he's got to be a little bit careful. Doesn't want to get picked off now that he does have his ultimate. Is aware that there is a flank coming in here, or at least an attempt for one for money, but he doesn't care because it's now time to hack people to pieces. Guido is gone, and Gesture gets the follow-up on Toby. Yet again, Soul Dynasty losing their backline at the beginning of a fight.
Absolutely brutal. Some hardcore parkour there from Prophet as he went over the top, came from the back of the rooftops. They were not expecting it, using the reset mechanic of the blade to get that extra dash and start off that fight. Prophet found his feet on Genji there.
He is looking very comfortable right now. Seems to be coming out ahead in most of these fights, and he knows that Closer has got his back. And speaking of which, Valve in lock here for London Spitfire for this next fight. Toby, 60% on his. Prophet putting Miro on notice. A little bit of a parting slash there.
Well, the tank goes down to the back line again as Miro didn't get any help. The rest of his team's to the right. No one followed it up. And as soon as they see the tank leave, they're just going to zone out Guido. Bye.
Get out. The D.Va burst damage is real, especially if you're a squishy target. Could get nasty. Now I'm curious to see, he will find the kill on Toby as well. No, it was Bird Ring, but you saw it was best intentions there for Will. He was staying on top of it, hunting down Fleta, and Soul Dynasty right now are getting overrun.
All the way back to their spawn, Wuyal has this self-destruct he can throw down at any given time. Here's the thing, they've been winning these fights without ultimates too. The bank has been building up for London, so they're gonna have an even footing in the next fight in the engagement. Soul has been saving theirs as well. Not for lack of trying, they've just been dead.
They've just been dead, exactly. It's been a slow process finding those ults, but there's the Valk, and guess what? There's a Prophet with the Dragon Blade as well, but he doesn't get the positioning right. He won't be able to capitalize and take down Toby immediately, so that means the Valk will be in play. There's the res, and Prophet just being so patient. Eventually gets chased away by Miro, but he has still got his Dragon Blade, just waiting to end this mercy.
Oh, the soldier drops down to the low ground, trying to get a tactical visor in there. Not going to work out necessarily. Closer does fall. Toby falls. Here comes a blade trying to slow it down and solidify the fight, but that is 1,000 HP, and even a Ginsu blade can't cut through that.
Get out of here. Not even Hanzo Steel. So Prophet, I mean, he's still alive. That's the thing. Even with the Dragon Blade, he used it, he gets a kill on Fleta, fair enough, but he's still a threat, still in the fight. And in the meantime, that payload is making progress towards that 3rd point. Soul now might be getting just a tad bit desperate, although they do have Guido with the Transcendence still to make the difference here on this last challenge.
He's gonna have to burn out right away just to stall out the card, try to keep everyone healthy, get them escorted out to the card. A self-destruct comes over top. Transcend does not fight against that, but everyone does escape in time. Prophet finds Guido once the Transcend wears off though.
Yeah, Fleta, though, with some quick, fancy footwork, is going to be able to stay alive a little bit longer. He is down to half HP, and that is in the realm of Bird Ring, but Bird Ring not able to get around the corner fast enough. However, Prophet finds the kill on Soul, and just like that, London Spitfire just running over Soul yet again.
If King Closer can stay alive, he's going to have a Valkyrie at his ready. He should pop the moment he gets it, 99%. There it goes, Valkyrie ready just to ensure this last point. Prophet busts out his blade. And Prophet, who I call the best pure tracer on this team, is showing his Genji skills are up to snuff. And it's not that he's so much better than Bird Ring, they just run different styles. I happen to prefer one or the other. But Bird Ring, I mentioned, is a big play tracer. He hits stick after stick in this map, pushed forward all the time, and you can't evade Pulse Bomb when it's stuck to your body.
Unfortunately, that is actually where it is like the most agonizing 3 seconds or 2 seconds before that thing goes off, and you're just done. You know it, unless you're a big beefy tank.
And even then. You're just delaying the inevitable usually.
Still, I mean, what a fantastic performance coming out here from London Spitfire, showing the depth in their roster as well. The fact that they can just change it up depending on the map choice, depending on the map type. Just bring in the hit squad for the control map. Sure, okay, make specialists out of them so that you just become this monster beast on control.
The frightening thing is the London Spitfire could divide themselves in half and field 2 top 5 owl teams. I firmly believe that. They have such a depth of talent. They've been trying to merge these squads together. They all come from a little different backgrounds. But man, the final product is something to be reckoned with.
That's where the coaches for London Spitfire, they're just spoiled. They just get too many choices. Like, I don't know what to do anymore. Too many choices, too many things to decide. Everybody is too damn good on this team, and unfortunately for them, they can only have 6 players in the server at a time.
You think there was just a dartboard and they were just chucking darts at? You're starting, you're starting, you're starting.
I would not be surprised, and it's hidden in their room as well, where it's actually hanging on the door. So it doesn't matter, you can come into the room whenever you want, but then you turn that door, you close that door, and it's little pictures of each player around it. I would believe it, Hex, I would believe it. These guys are too good.
Well, Seoul needs to at least get a point. Let's start small. They need to get first point. They have 0 points so far in this entire set, which is something no one would have predicted coming into this today. You got to build small, build off a fight, take a point, maybe take a map, get some momentum going into your next series.
Very curious to see now how Birdring will fare. Well, we know how Junkrat will fare. They had massive burst damage, chunking Zumba down. They will put some pressure here. Has to be a little bit careful, Gesture. Doesn't want to overcommit. He will be able to fall back to his teammates, and it's looking like they're wanting to try and set up some kind of defense here around the arch, London Spitfire. They do have Birdring on high. You can already see him just landing shot after shot into Zumba.
This is where London's composition wants to set up, though. You're not going to fight really with all your full force outside when you're running a Junkrat like this. Junkrat wants to live in the archway. He wants to live in the small pack room as well, so no one can really come in on him. Get all the free chip damage, send tires over the top. Tanks are going to come out here and dance, and Toby falls yet again.
Messes up his Guardian Angel, just goes sailing into the wall. Face plants, might as well have, but at least you got Fleta and Zumba there to try and make up for it. Guido is gone, however, and that means that both supports dead. Toby's still running back here for Seoul. This might be the case where London are going to be able to just get the shutdown going here. Wuhyal even has a self-destruct to buy more time, and Jester with the Primal Rage.
How are these tanks still alive? It has been only the tanks for the London Spitfire alive in the back line for about the last 20 seconds, and they both get out alive while securing kills. This cart should be through the courtyard all the way near first point, and it is stalled again in the archway. The tank play from London has been out of this world.
Impeccable. And now you've got Bunny. He's dancing around on the edges, looking for that pulse play. If he can get into it, looking for it inside. He decides to commit, but I think it got eaten up. No boom from him, and now you have the self-destruct going off here from Wuhyal. We'll be buying even more time. 2 minutes left on the clock here for Seoul Dynasty to make some magic happen. And the Transcendence might be what is necessary. Fleta getting some kills helps as well.
Valkyrie will come out, but they're already down 2 players. We'll see if they can even get brought back into the fight, camping the body. No, Birdring is going to come back. They're back to full fighting force 6v6. However, the Valk on the other side means that Seoul should have an advantage here. Seoul should win this fight. Fleta busts out the blade, and they should have cracked first point.
Well, there we go. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Will it actually happen? We still have a Junkrat who's hanging around on the edges. Doubt that he'll be able to challenge, especially when he's dead. Can't come back from the grave. And touch point.
Seoul Dynasty takes a point.
I like that, Hex. That was an appropriate amount of excitement there, my voice. It is true, though. Seoul Dynasty, first point on the 4th map in this series. They have picked up their first point.
I still can't believe that that was a sentence we had to say.
Seoul. Neither can they, Hex. Neither can they. So, moving into it now, London. Now it's a 2nd point defense. Ample time here for Seoul. But this is where it can get a bit hairy as well, having to deal with this high ground. One man who has been on point, however, is Fleta, looking for the flank again. And this might be where he can catch Birdring off guard. Birdring has no idea, it seems. He is dancing with the crouch, and so a very difficult shot there for Fleta to hit. Good reactions from Birdring.
Now they know where he is. He's going to be watching that angle, so smart move for Fleta to relocate. Bunny on the lurk. That is a very grouped up team right there. Looking for the pulse bomb, wants to hit supports with it, but now they're spread out a little bit. No need for the pulse bomb. He's able to take down Hago, but trades out here 4v4 right now.
Super solid work between him and Miro, getting the pancake kills, tasing him, staying on top of it. Bunny actually has to come back here to mine the payload, though. You still need to have 1 player on here. They do have 3, and so it is moving as quickly as possible. And it looks like London Spitfire have decided to take the fight at Arch, try and continue to delay Seoul Dynasty further. Miro is all the way in the back line, though, looking for the reses, and sure enough, he gets the kill on Hagofun.
Oh, he's got the camp in full effect. He's able to get one of the supports back there, almost gets a second, but again, the tank play from London has stalled out this card so much. They've been all alone up front, and if I'm a player on Seoul. The scariest thing in the world is a D.Va and Winston right now. They've been crushing.
Well, Birdring will get caught by Miro. In the end, Bunny is there. Once again, that tag team duo of Bunny and Miro really working well together to secure these kills. That could be what makes the difference here for Seoul. Although, as I say, that Closer pops the wings, gets the res off on Gesture. Birdring under pressure, just doesn't seem to care.
What kind of deal with the devil did he make to get out of that? He is now alive and out of the striking distance of Bunny on the ground. Meanwhile, Guido gets taken down, but then resurrected again. But Birdring, who did not die earlier, will put Guido back into the grave.
Toby will find the kill on Birdring. Fair enough. Bunny will see if he decides to commit with this pulse bomb. He's just looking for a juicy target to get the stick on. Eventually catches Closer in the corner. And Bunny, well, not really going to need to use the pulse. Although as Tracer, you get that pulse so quickly. Kind of want to just get chucked out there.
It seems like less reliable damage than what Bunny's doing with his primary, though. When you're on fire and you're tracking like Bunny is right now with your primary, even taking a split second off of that key to try to throw your pulse bomb does not seem like the right choice. And Bunny, you can see why he averages more than 1,000 damage than any other Tracer in the league.
Oh, he is merciless. Not a shred of it. Not a shred.
The shreds, you say?
Look at this. I mean, already, we're going to have the angle. He's already on the back line. Again, Closer under pressure. And that pulse will cut through the Transcend if he can land it on Toby. And there it is, the stick! Perfect play from Bunny. Closer out of the fight. No Mercy heals, no Mercy reses. Get out of here, Mercy. It's over, and Bunny still survives.
May not be enough because there have been some kills coming back from London, and London's going to have a much closer spawn. Miro knows this. He's going to try to prevent people from even getting back to spawn. This is a great play on the D.Va if he can D-max, but she will find her Mercy in the back line. Miro has to back out. The rest of his team should be waiting for him, ready for the reinforce, but we are full onto a 6v6 now as the reinforcements have come up. And already still a faster time from London against Seoul, even if Seoul should finish.
Yeah, if they do manage to make that 3rd-point stick. Gesture going for the primal, but he is dropping dangerously low. You get a whole lot of HP, but if the whole team is shooting in your face, you're going to die regardless, Gesture. And he, sure enough, will fall eventually to Fleta. But Closer will be there for the res. Fair enough. Somba with the self-destruct on Birdring, and Closer again negates that with the res. And so now, however, no reses remain. And this is going to be the turning point here. Can Seoul finally flip it, or will Prophet just make shish kebabs out of everybody?
Toby had his Valkyrie. He's going to bring up 2 himself, and it is going to get very nasty down there. Fleta is dead permanently, unable to come out. Now they're kind of locked in this corner back here, but the damage is not quite there. Positioning has been strange on both sides. Guido's going to eat that from the tank play of the London Spitfire. London has repelled this attack. Seoul Dynasty nearing only a minute to finish Dorado.
All the way out in spawn. This is disastrous for Seoul. They hold on to some ults, so at least they have that going for them, but the time, they are past a minute now on this clock, Hex. So, Toby, no Valk, Closer way in the lead there. Hagopin will have his Transcendence to cancel out Guido's.
In an ideal world, Bunny sticks Hagopin. He pops Transcend, they wait it out, then Fleta comes in with the Blade. Because Transcend versus Blade, Transcend wins that 9 times out of 10. If they can all stay together, of course, but staying together leads to the Pulse Bomb. The DPS have to work in concert here to win this fight.
Well, we're down to 30 seconds left on the clock. They are no longer allowed to get off at this point pretty much.
There's a
Whoa! There's the Transcend immediately as well. No time wasted, and that could cost them in the end. Because sure enough, Fleta waits for it to tick off. Will hunt down Closer immediately, and now he's going to reign supreme in the back line. Will get chased away, but that is perfectly fine. He got the kill he was looking for.
On the other side of things, though, Prophet was able to take down Toby, so they were without healing through a lot of this. They're going to have to maybe reset Fleta at 200. They can't reset. That music means time is ticking down. Someone's got to touch the card. Fleta does so with 40, gives up his life for it.
And the perfect hold coming in here. Just not even going to happen in the end. It will be the clean sweep for London Spitfire. A 4-0 victory over the Seoul Dynasty. A team that has sat at the top of the league since the very beginning. Seoul Dynasty now, they've lost to New York Excel and they've lost to London Spitfire. Sending a message.
Spitfire, not just the name of your mixtape, Semler, the name of one of the best teams in Overwatch.
Do they realize, however, that they have, in fact, won the series? And it does look like they got the memo. All right, so handshakes will definitely follow. And London Spitfire, I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to celebrate here because that is a big win, and that really solidifies their positioning going into the playoffs next week. They're sitting at the top of the pack here in the league. Fantastic work and a very decisive victory here, kind of leaving Seoul wondering what happened.
If you're Seoul, you can approach this 2 different ways. You can dwell on it, look over the tape, pour over, see what happens. but I think it was hard enough that it might just be one of those, let's forget about it.
Could be the moment, but...
All right, well, we're a little baffled here. Let's see what the desk has to say. Maybe they can clear things up for us.
Nope, can't do it, guys. Great stuff, though. One more time. Can we give it up for the London Spitfire? This was the match of the week, and they came out swinging all 4 games. They absolutely shut down the Seoul Dynasty today, and we're going to break down the second half, starting with Reinforce. As we went into game number 3, we knew this was a must-win situation for Seoul, and the game started up pretty decent in their favor. We had Fleta on the Pharah, but it was really the tanks of London just constantly shutting them down. What's the big picture here? If you're a new fan tuning in, what did you learn tonight?
Well, I learned that London Spitfire can actually play a bit more versatile. We saw them protect Hureg pretty well, actually. We see Toby on the Lucio, which he is so known for. And Seoul Dynasty with that, trying to play the game a bit faster, trying to dive a bit more. But Fleta was stuck on the Pharah, which slows times the game a bit, because, you know, Pharah with the rockets, that's a lot of damage per second, of course, but it's not really the burst, the direct damage from a Genji dash, for example. So I think the game plan overall was not that good coming out of Seoul Dynasty. If they had, for example, Fleta on the Genji instead, they could have executed those fast dives with Toby's speed boost, but instead they allowed London Spitfire to protect Hureg with the defense matrix and with Gesture's Winston Bubble, of course.
So let's talk a little bit about these composition changes. Is it purely moving him over to a Genji that could help Fleta and Seoul Dynasty get a win in a rematch?
Yes, exactly. On Lighthouse anyway, I think it's a great hero pick because you want to be able to deal all that direct burst damage and actually get through all of these shields. There's so much keeping people alive, and so you need the burst damage and you need to play very coordinated, but we didn't see it from Seoul Dynasty.
Well, I don't think it's so much about the hero. I feel like, or we know actually from the match against New York, that Seoul was struggling a lot against the Tracer. Sabiobi just was wrecking face, and Bunny really could not hold his own. And today, the same thing happened. The Tracer matchup was in the favor of the London Spitfire. But to top things off, I think it's a style that Bunny plays of Tracer that ends up causing a lot of trouble. He likes to be that lone wolf Tracer, which is what you expect out of a Tracer play, but he takes it to so far that he often finds himself either staggered out or trying to make plays by himself without trying to have the help of the team to maybe stick some better bombs or just go for a more coordinated play that I think is really what is holding back Seoul right now when it comes to their DPS.
Prophet was constantly causing problems for the entire Seoul squad as well, and we knew after the first 3 games, all right, London gets the match win, but this game 4 still has a major impact. Remember, if there's a tiebreaker, we go to a map differential, and if you have more map wins than losses, you're likely going to be winning that tiebreaker against your opponent. Unfortunately for Seoul, they weren't even able to steal Dorado, and it was looking at a point like they might not even capture the first point.
They lacked leadership, I think, here. Without Ri Jae-hong to actually rally the troops, it looked like Seoul Dynasty were a bit disjointed. Of course, I think the game plan overall was to have Miro play pretty aggressive and shut down the DPS of London Spitfire, not to allow them to have any space. And then you have Fleta playing in the back line on the famous Widowmaker, of course, he is so good at, which you can just see in this Dorado game, actually got a few picks. But overall, I think that the leadership just lacked, and going into the 4th map, it just looked like Seoul Dynasty necessarily weren't themselves.
Seoul was off their game today, but London was on it. Let's talk real quickly, the Spitfire's greatest strength.
Ooh, versatility here, flexibility between everything. Yeah. You saw literally an entirely new lineup for this second half of the game. How do you even prepare for that? You keep playing your same lineup. They're like, hey, they actually suffered against this kind of style, play this way, and they don't know what you're going to be doing. That's a huge bonus.
We thought that we would see Seoul as a shoo-in for the playoffs. Today's loss makes it very interesting, and there's a reason Seoul lost. It's going to be our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. Gesture causing so many problems. We gave it to the tank. Despite the DPS getting the flashy picks, it was the monkey getting the job done. Why is Gesture in your top 3 greatest main tanks in the game right now?
Well, he's so consistent in so many styles. We see a lot of teams having 2 main tanks to play a bit more passive or play a bit more aggressive. I think the Gesture is so very consistent in both of these styles, and he can, I think he was in the match throughout the entire match, and we see them swap out maybe 4 players between maps. They have different setups confirmed, but Gesture was in there all the time because he's so good at adapting and playing all of these different styles, and there's only a handful of tanks that can actually do that in the league.
We actually get to highlight just how much was Gesture in there. Well, he was doing 6,000 more damage than his counterpart on Miro, and he had 2 minutes less played, so less time, more effectiveness. That's why he stays in the mix the whole time through, right? We're looking at the game in the cast, like how are these tanks doing so much defending off everybody? Well, the healing support keeps him alive, and you don't really need to aim with Winston.
Well, hey. Hey.
What? Johnny,
What do you
take
mean?
the fence. He used to play that.
I used to play that hero full
You
time.
miss on Winston?
Guys, we got to wrap this up. Let's
High
take a look
positivity.
back at our full day schedule. Seoul drops in the big one, and now they are going to be seeing themselves moving down the overall leaderboard. But the real stories of the early day was Philadelphia Fusion 4-0ing the Dallas Fuel, who continue to show their weaknesses. New York Excel improves with a 4-0 victory over the Shanghai Dragons, and that is going to shake things up in our overall league standings. As you can see, it is New York Excel and London Spitfire, and because the London Spitfire got a 4-0, same thing with New York Excel, they're tied right now for first place, and you can see the shakeup. Seoul Dynasty right behind the Valiant, and what's really scary here for Seoul is you played all of your easy matches. You played all the teams that were in the bottom 6 early in Stage 1. Your remaining matches are against Houston and Valiant, both of those squads fighting for that number 3
That
spot
match
for
is
the performance
gonna
bonus.
be ridiculous. Houston versus Seoul, right? And then both teams actually have players that didn't start their main players. Link wasn't out, Jae-Hong wasn't in. What's gonna happen?
Get these guys healthy. You're going to need them tomorrow. That match is going down at 6 p.m. We open it up with the Shock versus the Mayhem, and we close it out with a good one. Boston Uprising looking to improve to 4-3, taking on the hometown squad of the Los Angeles Gladiators. It was a great day, number 14 here of the regular season. We want to thank everyone for tuning in online, and more importantly, all of the Blizzard staff that was here in the venue today and everyone that showed up to the Blizzard Arena. It was a fantastic day of matches, and we can't wait to get it going one more time. The action kicks off 4 p.m. tomorrow. We'll see you then.